The film begins with a scene of a car rocking in an empty parking lot. Initially, I thought it was a lively car dance scene, but it turned out not to be. The car is rocking because inside, a bloody duel is taking place between a woman and a gangster. This woman is apparently skilled in combat, and through the bloody fight, she successfully manages to kill her opponent. The next morning, the woman walks towards a slum area heavily populated by homeless people. She walks with a limp, holding back the pain from her knife wounds. Then, she enters an old van and cleans her wounds. The incident is the result of an event that occurred 5 years ago. Riley North, the woman's name, turns out to be a mother of a 10-year-old daughter. She recently married a man named Chris, a workshop owner whose business is currently failing. They struggle together to provide for their family. Riley is willing to take on overtime work to supplement her income even if it means sacrificing some important moments in her life. This includes the birthday of their daughter Carly. The celebration that should have started since noon ended up being celebrated quite late at night after Riley returned from work. It turns out that in the afternoon, Chris was approached by a friend who invited him to be a partner in a robbery. Chris was only needed to act as the getaway driver after the robbery was carried out, and he would receive a considerable amount of money as savings. Despite his initial hesitation, Chris, who was in need at the time, eventually agreed. And that evening, as he was feeling the warmth of family during Carly's kid birthday celebration, Chris had a change of heart. He called his friend to inform that he wouldn't be participating after all. However, by then the heist was already underway, and someone had been lurking outside their house. When they left the scene, the observer reported to his boss, Diego Garcia, a drug lord who happened to be the target of the robbery. Chris's friend had already been captured and executed at that point.
It's gonna make all your problems go away? Puto!
Diego Garcia, thinking that Chris was part of the robbery plan, then ordered his henchmen to also massacre Chris and his family. Therefore, as this small family continued their celebration at a carnival after Carly's birthday, a sliding van arrived and killed everyone, including Carly and Riley, who were unaware of what was happening. Chris and Carly died, but Riley survived, though severely injured. A detective named Karma Michael later came to visit her. He provided information that the police had identified several suspects, and despite her severe injuries, Riley agreed to go to the police station to identify the perpetrators of her family's murder. Vaguely, Riley did recall the face of the perpetrator from the tattoo on his face. When confronted with a row of police-suspected individuals, Riley confidently pointed out the person. The next day, Michael's lawyer was approached by his senior partner, who showed him a beach owned by a deceased police officer investigating a case related to Diego Garcia. The partner advised Michael to stop investigating the case as it was highly dangerous. The Garcia cartel had insiders within the police force. Upon returning home, Riley was visited by an unknown man expressing condolences for the loss of her family. The person not only expressed sympathy but also handed Riley a thick envelope containing a stack of money. He requested that Riley forget what had happened because it wouldn't bring her family back, and it would be better for her to move on. Riley felt offended by this gesture and became suspicious, especially when the person later inquired about the new medication she had obtained from the doctor. Riley expelled the person. In court, Riley encountered the same person, who turned out to be a lawyer from the cartel. This lawyer presented an objection, stating that Riley was undergoing treatment when she provided her testimony. Therefore, the information she gave might be incorrect. The medications observed by the lawyer were sedatives, and Riley couldn't provide supporting evidence for her statement. Consequently, the court ruled that the 3 suspects should be released, and Riley cried out upon hearing the judge's decision. Having already suffered, Riley's agony intensified as she witnessed the killers of her family being released without punishment. She went berserk in court, prompting security to take action. She was escorted and would be placed in a mental health facility. While in the ambulance, Riley seized an opportunity to free herself. She struck Michael, who had shown empathy towards her, and then escaped, eluding the pursuing security. The timeline shifts back to the present day, 5 years later. The police are shocked as they discover the bodies of 3 men hanging from a Ferris wheel. Recognizing one of them as Riley's initial assailant, it is concluded that these 3 men were the suspects in the murder of her family. The case catches the attention of the FBI, who request a meeting with the police officials involved, including Michael and his partner. Previously, the FBI had found CCTV evidence of an armed robbery at a weapons store. The recording depicted Rayleigh realistically carrying out the theft. FBI agents had also been investigating Rayleigh's activities, who had disappeared after stealing $50,000 from the bank where she used to work the day before. The tracking led to Rayleigh's presence in Europe, where she had been using various aliases and posing as a UFC fighter. 3 months ago, the FBI noted that Rayleigh had entered Los Angeles airport via a flight from Europe. Rayleigh has returned, and as they discuss her, she is at the home of the retired judge who presided over her trial. Apparently, Rayleigh is seeking retribution against everyone who has cast shadows on her life. The retired judge, now also a target, is killed by a remotely controlled bomb. This news quickly reaches the police, along with other reports of the deaths of lawyers associated with Diego Garcia's case. They immediately moved towards the crime scene. While the cartel itself had received reports about the recent incident, 3 of their crew members had been killed, and their bodies were hanged in public. Pressure mounted as their superiors complained about 2 shipments by the gang not reaching their destinations. Someone was causing chaos in the cartel's operations. Meanwhile, Rayleigh headed towards her first target, a toy store camouflaging as her mark. All money laundering operations were conducted there. After slaughtering 2 guards, Rayleigh entered directly into the main office on the top floor without fear, confronting it alone. Armed with military-grade weapons she had stolen, Rayleigh ruthlessly killed each gang member in a sadistic manner. She spared an accountant, letting him live so that he could provide information about her arrival to Garcia. The accountant immediately conveyed this information to his boss at the residence. Garcia's forces have dwindled as many members died, and the money stash they were processing from the Korean mafia was burned along with its store. The fire at the store once again kept the authorities busy with an investigation. They strongly suspected that Rayleigh was the one behind it. The news had now leaked to television media about a vengeful figure named Rayleigh North. It also gained traction on social media, where people considered her an angel who had come to eliminate the city's trash. Meanwhile, Garcia grew more frustrated as the pressure increased. The Korean mafia wanted their money back, anticipating the next location Rayleigh would target. Garcia suspected that the Mercury manufacturing lab would be her next target. That night, Rayleigh was already at the location, finding strength in a family photo she always carried to fulfill her vengeance. She entered the lab building she targeted, unaware that 2 cartel members were lurking on the rooftop. She only realized it when she was inside the lab, and there was a bomb trap waiting for her. Rayleigh had walked into an ambush, and she became aware when she noticed the set explosives. Quickly, she ran, searching for a safe spot, but her movements were being monitored by the person on the rooftop. That person immediately activated the preset bomb, causing the lab building to explode. Luckily, Rayleigh moved swiftly, managing to enter a drainage hole and emerge unharmed. The police received news about the explosion at an industrial area, prompting Michael to call his partner to move to the crime scene. Based on their earlier analysis, suspecting that Rayleigh had been living in the city's slums, Iman immediately moved there. Upon arriving and finding the area secure, a homeless person mentioned that they now had an angel. On a building wall, Iman saw graffiti depicting Rayleigh North's name. Meanwhile, Rayleigh herself was seen driving a stolen car away from the burning building. 2 gang members reported that they had successfully killed Rayleigh by blowing her up in Garcia's lab, and Garcia promised them a promotion. However, their actual target was currently behind them, driving a stolen sedan. As they approached a hill area, Rayleigh overtook their car and stopped in front of it.
What's up with that guy?
Unaware that it was Rayleigh and unprepared, the gang members had to face her gunfire, resulting in their immediate deaths. Using the gang's second car, Rayleigh proceeded to Garcia's house. When the guards recognized the vehicle and opened the gate without much thought, Rayleigh shot them both. Armed with a sophisticated military rifle, she entered and slaughtered some of the gang members outside the house. She let the car drive into the house, while she herself entered from another direction and killed the guards inside. Rayleigh is highly skilled in battle strategy, perhaps learning from James Bond in Europe. Eventually, Rayleigh faced Garcia, and she was about to complete her vengeance when a small child suddenly appeared in the room, searching for their father. Garcia, it turns out, has a small child. Rayleigh couldn't bring herself to harm the child's father. She hesitated, and Garcia took advantage, hitting and slashing her before fleeing with the child. Injured, Rayleigh quickly escaped from the house. She sought refuge in an acquaintance's house located in the same hill area in LA.
Riley?
While hiding and tending to her wounds. They knew each other, but they had disagreements back in school. Rayleigh's friend was known for being arrogant as a wealthy person with a house in an elite area. Rayleigh kidnapped her friend, taunted their ruined marriage, stole their car, and set their house on fire. Meanwhile, in the slum area, Inman invited Michael to come and see the results of his discovery. An old car filled with heavy military-grade weaponry, Rayleigh's vehicle. Iman, the intelligent agent, had a brilliant theory that the series of cases would lead to a police officer acting as an insider. Michael approached Iman, and unexpectedly, he killed him. It turns out, all this time, Michael had been the cartel's insider, as he disposed of Iman's body along with the gun used to shoot him in a trash bin. He then called Garcia to report that he knew Rayleigh's hiding place. Meanwhile, Rayleigh had arrived in the area, hiding on the top floor of a building. She was still helpless due to her pain. Shortly after, Garcia arrived with his troops, searching the homeless people's tents to find their target. Some were tasked to enter the building while she was in a semi-conscious state, and her daughter's figure appeared in her subconscious, waking Rayleigh. From above, she saw a gangster approaching, knocking over a trash bin. She searched the person and found a gun and some smoke bombs. Rayleigh then set a trap, waiting for other gang members. When the smoke bomb was triggered and exploded, Rayleigh killed them all. Using their walkie-talkie, she told everyone to leave so she could duel Garcia. If they all didn't want to be killed by her, Garcia countered the bluff, forcing Rayleigh to rethink her next strategy. Suddenly, a ringtone sounded near Rayleigh's position. Checking inside a trash bin, she discovered a cell phone still in Iman's possession. Her FBI colleague was calling her, and she found his own dead body among the trash piles. Rayleigh took the phone, and shortly after, a breaking news broadcast aired on television. Rayleigh was in contact with a television station, and the video was being broadcast live by the TV station. Rayleigh showed the culprits and the ongoing situation at her location, prompting the police to move to the crime scene. Garcia captured a homeless child, instructing Rayleigh to surrender. Unable to bear seeing a child as a victim, Rayleigh eventually gave in and emerged from her hiding place. The child was brought forward, and now Rayleigh became Garcia's target. However, it seemed Rayleigh intentionally did this, mocking Garcia's punches as weak to buy time.
You hit like a girl.
The awaited moment arrived when the police force surrounded the area. Garcia, thinking it was Michael's doing, killed the corrupt police officers. Rayleigh followed Garcia, amidst the cluster of homeless tents, managed to corner him and then pointed her gun at him. At that moment, the police arrived and aimed their guns at Rayleigh, trying to prevent her from killing Garcia as they intended to handle the situation. However, Rayleigh no longer trusted the police who refused to obey her orders. Eventually, Garcia's words reignited her anger. Rayleigh couldn't bear the thought of living and only facing imprisonment. She shot Garcia, simultaneous with the police shooting at her. Rayleigh was found by the police the next day at the gravesite of her husband and child. She didn't want any help, she wanted to be left to die there. However, the police couldn't let her be. She was taken to the hospital. News of the incident immediately went viral in the city of LA. While some people justified Rayleigh's actions, the police as an institution did not condone vigilantism. At that time, Rayleigh was undergoing treatment in the hospital when Michael visited her, secretly giving her a handcuff key so that, someday, she could escape. The police officer was someone who defended Rayleigh, and the movie ended here. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I apologize if there are any mistakes. Admin is human, and sometimes mistakes happen. Hope to see you another time.